What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today we have a playtest on this boot right here, the Puma Ultra 5 Ultimate and the MG sole plate. Now I'm actually really excited to try this boot out. The Ultra Carbon model, I actually really like the upper, and this is kind of the same. It's a little bit more structured, so I'm hoping, you know, it breaks in nicely, but the overall fit is a bit better on this model, and I really want to see how the MG sole plate performs. Before we start the video, if you guys could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate that, and we'll just get right into it then. Alright guys, so here I have the cleats on feet, and honestly I just love the way these fit. They wrap my foot really nicely. They're nice and like snug, but they're not like squeezing my foot. You guys can see like there's not really any extra space. In terms of sizing, I went true to size. You guys can see my toes right here, so I would recommend going true to size, which is a good thing. I feel like in Puma you have to go like up half size, down half size, but on the MG at least it's true to size, so that's good. I'm not sure if the FG is the same. I know with the Carbon you have to go down half size, which is a little bit annoying just because the midfoot then is a little too tight. But for this model, for the MG sole plate, you know, go true to size. Now in terms of like the width, it's not overly narrow. It is a tighter fitting boot. It is snug, but this kind of midfoot stretches, like this middle part. And for the most part, like if you have like a slightly wider foot, you should be able to fit in these. If you have a super wide foot, then I wouldn't recommend these. In terms of the toe box, you know, it feels pretty good. It's more rounded this time around. It's not very pointy, so like my toes feel okay. They're not being like squeezed all that much. And the only thing that kind of bothers me is this little flare here on this side. I don't have it so much here on my like left foot. On my right foot it really like sticks out. It's a little annoying, but I feel like it's not going to affect performance. And yeah, overall the fit is great of this boot. The sole plate feels nice. You know, there's no stud pressure underneath. The sole plate's kind of on the thicker side, so I don't feel any stud pressure. But yeah, but overall the fit and feel of the boot feels pretty good. Alright guys, so I've been passing and juggling the ball for a bit, and you know, I really like the way these feel. These have more of a barefoot touch. They have no padding to it whatsoever. There is like a grippy like texture to this. Like the upper itself is kind of sticky and it's kind of noticeable. I found when I was juggling I did like notice that it kind of stuck a little bit more. But yeah, so far so good. I don't really have any like pressure points or anything. Maybe just a little bit here on the instep for this one. And that's just because I have more of a flatter foot. I don't have super like hard arches, and this kind of like really hugs your midfoot right here because of the lacing system. You guys can see how deep these laces go to the side, and so it really like pulls the upper together. And so I guess since I pulled it really tight, it is kind of like giving me just a little bit of a pinch here. But I feel like that will go away once, you know, the upper does start to break in a little bit more. And the upper, you know, it still feels pretty structured. It's not really soft yet. Alright guys, so after the ladder, the shuffles, and the little bit of dribbling that I did, now these cleats are feeling a lot better. I don't really feel that pinch anymore here in the midfoot. It's kind of gone, so it did get a little bit softer. Although the upper isn't like super soft, I feel like there's still like a break-in time needed. But you know, it feels better. They're not as like stiff, I guess is the best way to describe it. They felt a little bit like stiff. I don't know, it's a bit too harsh. Like they were kind of soft, but they just felt a little bit more structured. And you know, in terms of performance, they actually performed pretty well. The midfoot is nice and like locked in. I didn't feel any movement whatsoever. The heel actually was worried because there is like, I feel like the heel like kind of looks a little bit wide, and you know, on feet they feel fine. Like I didn't feel like so much movement when I was like sprinting off. I didn't feel like anything like up and down, maybe just a little bit side to side, like the rotational movement, but other than that, you know, they feel pretty good. And the sole plate feels nice. Like the stud pattern, you know, it's meant for AG, so it feels fantastic. You feel nice and low to the ground. They don't get stuck whatsoever. And it is a thicker plastic, so you kind of do feel it that it's a bit thicker. Like you don't feel any stud pressure, which is a good thing. So overall, the sole plate does feel nice. It does make the boot slightly heavier, I think. I feel like the FG model is slightly lighter, but the carbon model is a bit heavier also. So I feel like it's about the same like weight. And also the grip, you do really notice it. It is like a thing. And sometimes I feel like I would like just have the ball like stuck to my feet a little bit, but I'm kind of used to it just because obviously I wear the GX, the Vapor. So I feel like it might be even grippier. It's for sure grippier than the Vapor and the Superfly. It's about the same for the GX. But yeah, you do really notice it. I wonder if it wears off over time, because I don't know, I feel like it's just the coating on top. It's not really like the material itself. So I guess time will tell. But overall, yeah, they feel pretty good. Alright guys, so that's it for today's video. I feel like I didn't record too much in terms of shooting just because the sun was really annoying and I feel like it didn't really look good in the camera. So I just did like a couple shots here and there. I didn't really go crazy just because I feel like it just wasn't really like looking good just based on what I was seeing, and I just couldn't fix it. Like there was just no clouds, no shade whatsoever, so unfortunate. But you know, the boots itself, the Puma Ultra 5 Ultimate, they feel pretty good. Like I really like the upper. This upper is a little bit more structured than the carbon model in my opinion. Like carbon was a bit too soft for my liking, and I just felt like there was more movement here in the midfoot. These actually like wrap your foot really nicely, and there's a lot more structure, so I feel like there isn't really any movement whatsoever. The heel feels pretty nice, even though it does look slightly like wide. I do have this little bit of space here still, which is kind of annoying, but it doesn't really affect performance. Like the padding is good enough to hold your heel. Maybe I found like a little bit of rotational movement, but it wasn't nothing crazy. You get a nice barefoot touch on the ball. This MG model is excellent. I really like it. You just get a good amount of like small little studs here, and so you don't get stuck on the ground whatsoever. In terms of flexibility, it is kind of flexible just because you want more studs underneath your foot so you don't get stuck, or you're not focused on one like stud. So it's good that it's flexible. And for me, I really like the sole plate. It is a bit thicker and it does feel slightly heavier, I think. The upper did get a little bit softer. It's still structured. I feel like there will be more break-in time needed, probably maybe a second session, and they'll feel better. But you know, they feel okay. And overall, like, the boot itself performs well. It feels good. The touch on the ball is nice and thin. Like, there's no padding whatsoever, and so you get like a nice pingy like sensation when you're shooting with it. And yeah, it feels pretty good. And overall, I feel like they made really good improvements coming from the previous model. Like, this boot is actually wearable. And so yeah, if you guys have any questions on this boot, just let me know down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're notified for future videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.